If you would have told me that the Chicago Cubs would start the season off 4-6 in their first 10 games, especially considering who we were playing, I would have thought that you would have been lying to me. But unfortunately, alas, here we are. First 10 game review coming up right after this. What's going on, Chicago Cubs Central? I am your host, Mike Jones. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode. Make sure that you guys like, share, and subscribe so that you never miss any of the content we post here on the channel. Also, make sure that you guys stay abreast and join our Facebook group. That's right. We have a Facebook group, Chicago Cubs Central Facebook group. All you got to do is search it. There's always content being posted in there, conversations happening, people talking about what they think about the Chicago Cubs for the whole season and what they do in the off season as well. Now, with that being said, y'all, 10 games in, and okay. I'm going to do my damnedest to not overreact or come off like I'm overreacting. But at the same time, I do want to just have an honest conversation with you guys about where the team stands right now. I took some notes and some things like that on what I saw as the Chicago Cubs drop another game. This one to open up against the Tampa Bay Rays 6-4. Again, like I said, it just did not look great for the Chicago Cubs. They started the game off, broke things open with Nico Hoerner hitting a double, hitting a single and knocking in two. That was a good sign, but Jameson Taillon comes right behind him and gives up a 2-run home run shot. And like I said, things kind of go awry from there as the Chicago Cubs after that pretty much struggled to score runs. Meanwhile, at the same time, the Tampa Bay Rays kind of had a steady flow. There was one point where Jameson Taillon got comfortable and sat down, I think, like 8 or 9 in a row. Outside of that, like I said, it was kind of up and down performance for him. Then you bring in the bullpen, and what really was the kicker is Phil Maton, who just has not looked good for the Chicago Cubs this season. He has not looked good for the Chicago Cubs this season. And I am sorely upset about that because he is somebody we've signed for multiple years. Our first reliever that we signed to a multi-year deal since Craig Counsell. That's right. So, like I said, I think that we deserve a little bit better out of him than what he has given us so far as a team. He has to figure things out. You got to remember, guys, they brought, if you guys were paying attention to the game, they brought him into the game. He wasn't even pitching in a high leverage moment. I mean, like I said, and he still gives up a 2-run shot. You can't have that. You cannot have that. The Chicago Cubs dropped this game to the Tampa Bay Rays. And again, to me, it just looked lifeless at times out there. You got multiple people that's struggling. You got Bregman that's struggling. You got Dansby that's struggling. You got Michael Busch that's struggling. And so the Chicago Cubs have to figure out what they are going to do with this squad, what they are going to do with this team, because right now, as it would seem, the Chicago Cubs are struggling. And they're in trouble. And they're not just in trouble because they lost this game. This, in the grand scheme of things, could this matter for seeding in October? Maybe, sure. Could it come down to a game or two? Maybe, sure. But at the same time, I look at it like you don't want to start a trend of consistently dropping games back to back to back and not winning series. Like I said, you got some tough series coming up ahead of you. And, which we'll get into in the next segment, you're without. The Chicago Cubs are missing some pivotal pieces. And so you're gonna have to depend on guys to come through and win games for you. And Craig Counsell has to find a way to rouse this team up and get them prepared to play baseball. And I just don't see it right now. I don't see a winner's mentality or a winner's attitude out of the team. It just looks like For the most part, they don't give a damn. So I mean, for me, I just struggle. I just struggle to really get excited. I mean, I was pumped when the game started today, especially you like I said, you're sitting at work, you turn on the radio, and you want to listen to the game, and you want to hear everything that's going on, and you get excited about it. And then, like I said, the Chicago Cubs break things open, and it looks like it's gonna go their way. And then, like I said, Jameson Taillon gives up that home run, and momentum shifts back over to the Tampa Bay Rays after that. And really, for the most part, they don't ever relinquish that. They don't ever relinquish that momentum, and that's hard on a team. That's hard on the Cubs. Like I said, so again, Jameson Taillon does take the loss in this one, his first of the season. But you look at these stats: Nico Horner 1-for-4 in today's game. Alex Bregman 0-for-4. Ian Happ 1-for-3. Carson Kelly 1-for-4. Michael Busch 0-for-2. Dansby Swanson 0-for-3. Matt Shaw went 1-for-4, and he did get a home run. Pete Crow Armstrong 0-for-4. His OPS is under 500. Miguel Amaya DH'd in this game. If I'm not mistaken, he walked in his at play appearance. And then Craig did some weird stuff with the lineup where I think Miguel Amaya got 1 or 2 ABs, and then Conforto got an AB, went 0-for-1, and then Dylan Carlson got an AB and went 0-for-1 also. And it was just weird. It was all odd how he was trying to figure that out. I mean, I guess he was trying to find a spark somewhere offensively, but the Chicago Cubs only have 4 hits in this game to Tampa Bay's 9 hits. 3 home runs for Tampa Bay, 1 single home run for the Chicago Cubs. It was Matt Shaw's home run. And then 20. The Braves left 20 runners on base, while the Cubs only left 9. So just it was not a good game for the Chicago Cubs, and we gotta figure we gotta figure something out. Actually, we don't have to figure out anything. Craig Counsell got to figure out what to do. And again, we're running into issues now. We'll flip over to the next segment. We're running into issues now because injuries are happening too. It almost feels like anything that could go wrong in the first 10 games, the start of this season, is going wrong. Because now, not only do you have Cade Horton, who has to get more imaging, they still don't know what's going on with him. But then you turn around, and now Matthew Boyd is also injured. And he's on the DL. IL, not DL. DL is down low. IL is injured list. The IL. You're just asking yourself, man, like what else could go wrong? What else could go wrong in this time? And I mean, I'm not going wood, man, because I don't want anybody else injured, but the Chicago Cubs are struggling to start the season. Now, albeit, the one silver lining that I will say is that it's not about how you start, it's how you finish. And we can talk for a while now about how the Chicago Cubs, may struggle from here or there. But I do believe that the Cubs will turn it around. I do think they will turn it on. I do think that they will have some success this season. I just think that these are growing pains. But you see clear-cut areas where the Chicago Cubs are lacking. The bullpen being one, and another big bat being another. And like I said, I was walking out of work today, and my boss was telling me, I miss Owen Casey. I think the Cubs messed up trading Owen Casey. Well, how about you got Kevin Alcantara down in the AAAs? Why don't you bring him up and let him play? Guys hit 4 bombs already. He would be second on your team right now in home runs. No, he'd be tied. He'd be tied with Ian Happ right now for home runs. Why don't you bring him up? Why don't you see what he got? Stop wasting your time with Michael Conforto and Dylan Carlson and these quote-unquote experienced hitters. Give the kid a chance. He can DH for you. He can also play, in the outfield for you too. Give him a chance. He can't do no worse than what's happening right now offensively. I mean, we're going to put it out there. Let's put it out there. So we'll see what happens. So the Chicago Cubs will go up against the Tampa Bay Rays. Again, 5:40 start time for this one. Javier Assad is on the mound for the Chicago Cubs. He has been called up from AAA Iowa to pitch in the game. He is replacing Matthew Boyd in the game. And Tampa Bay is sending their right-hander up. His name is, I think, Ramusin, I think is his name. But anyways, he's going up against Assad tomorrow. And he has pitched 10 innings, has a whip of 0.70 and an ERA of 1.80. So clearly he has not given up a lot of runs. So Drew Ramusin is his name, I guess. But anyways, like I said, we will see what he has in store. Both games he's pitched in so far, the teams lost. They lost to Milwaukee and they lost to St. Louis in both games he pitched in. So be very interested to see what happens in that game. Hopefully the Chicago Cubs can hang an L on him and like I said, get things figured out. Offensively, Cubs just got to be better. Point blank, period. We need Michael Busch to start hitting. And if Michael Busch, Dansby Swanson, P. Armstrong cannot figure this out, we have to figure something else out, guys. We just do. I am of the mindset, though, of giving Kevin Alcantara a chance. Calling him up from AAA and giving him a chance, giving him a shot. Just seeing what he could do. Again, he can't do any worse. I don't understand why we're wasting our time with Michael Conforto and with Dylan Carlson. It's a giant waste of time. It's like it's an automatic out every single time those fools come up to the plate. We got to figure something out. I don't know. But last but not least, Matthew Boyd is now on the injured list. Seiya Suzuki looks like he is set to return to the Chicago Cubs Friday against Pittsburgh in Chicago. That couldn't come at a better time for the Cubs. And then, of course, Cade Horton, we still have no idea what's going on with Cade. They actually sent him out for more imaging. They still don't know what's going on with him and what's ailing him. So with Matthew Boyd, it's expected to be minimal, at least according to Craig. But then again, I don't know if we could trust these trainers. It might be beneficial. I think I saw somebody put this. It might be beneficial. It really might be beneficial for the Chicago Cubs to look at maybe sending him out for another opinion when it comes to figuring out what we're doing here with Cade Horton and with Matthew Boyd. I mean, it might be even more beneficial to put Matthew Boyd on an innings limit. Like he can only pitch 6 innings or 5 innings. Or he can only get to a certain amount of pitches, and then he's pulled. Because, again, like I said, he is somebody that has an injury history, and now he finds himself at the beginning of the season on the injured reserve list too. So, I don't know, guys. We'll see what happens. I'm aboard the train of giving Kevin Alcantara a chance. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But listen, I appreciate you guys so much for tuning into this episode. Leave your comments, thoughts on the game, on what you hope to happen in the Tuesday game with the Javier Assad on the mound. We'll see what happens with that, guys. But listen, I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe so that you never miss any content over here on Chicago Cubs Central. Until next time, I'm Mike Jones. Peace.
Thank you for watching another episode of Chicago Cubs Central, the #1 spot for all Chicago Cubs content. Remember to like, share, subscribe for more Cubs content.